Channel 4 News with 5-time Emmy Award-winning anchor Ron Burgundy, Champ Kine Sports, Rick Tamlin Weather, and your reporter in the field, Brian Fantana. It's Channel 4 News at 6 o'clock.
What you're about to see is a Channel 4 News exclusive.
Hi, welcome to the Channel 4 News exclusive. Here with us today is Miriam Diamond, a Canadian Environmental Scientist of the Year recipient, a Bachelor's in Biology, University of Toronto, a Master of Science Zoology, University of Alberta, Master of Science Engineering in Mining Engineering, Queen's University, and a PhD in Chemical Engineering and Applied Chemistry in the University of Toronto, and a U of T professor.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's like, no, we made it and then
First off, tell us, how does the environment relate to a chemical system?
Dynamic equilibrium. Well, there are multiple ways our environment relates to the chemical system. For example, in the ecosystem, if the population of each species are constant, then the ecosystem is at equilibrium. If the species dies off, then the whole ecosystem will adjust to a new equilibrium, just as the concentration of the reactants and the products change. Another example is the weather. Rain is the result of the evaporating of water into the atmosphere. This is much likely to change the phase equilibrium, and where molecules are constantly changing phase in the closed system.
What research have you been involved with in the past few years?
My research group's main area of interest is in exploring the dynamics of the organic and inorganic contaminants in the lakes, urban areas, aquatic food webs, and indoor environments. I have been involved with multiple projects, all having to do with the environment and the harmful chemicals that surround it.
Really? Could you tell us more?
Our research aims to assess the implication of the roles the contaminants play in the environment, ecosystem, and in human health. We collaborate with the Ontario Ministry of Environment, Environment Canada, and the City of Toronto's Environmental Protection Office, and the Toronto and the Region Conservation Authority. For instance, there was this study I did with my colleagues for the benefits and risks of eating the fish or capturing the fish of the Great Lakes. The purpose of this study was to evaluate the toxicity of the lakes and how it affected the fish and the aquatic environment. This is important because it impacts every single one of us. Increasing the concentration of the chemicals in the lake means that it is disturbing the initial equilibrium, the balance of the environment. However, as time progresses, the system or lake will reach a new equilibrium, nonetheless still harmful because the concentration of the contaminant is still at a much higher level than where it should have been. Unless the water is purified or the pollution is reduced, we cannot counteract the effects.
Are there any other projects that you are involved with?
There are quite a few more, but one in particular that Torontonians should be concerned about is the amount of PCBs in the electrical equipment. PCBs are the polychlorinated biphenyls. PCBs, polychlorinated biphenyls, is a dangerous chemical. Studies have been done by the EPA, and it has shown to contain carcinogenic materials, and it contributes to the development of cancer. The dots you saw in the map show the amounts of the PCBs in kilograms. The research I've done shows that Torontonians should be more concerned and aware of the harmful chemicals that are around them in the city. The diagram shows the possible pathways for the chemicals to go. Although chemicals are able to travel and change phases, this is not dynamic equilibrium because it is not a closed system. Our environment is like a buffer solution. You know that in a buffer solution, its main act is to maintain the pH, that is like a acid-base equilibrium. But there is a limit to the amount of acid that it can take or the base it can take until it loses the ability to maintain the pH of the solution. So when we are talking about the environment, we definitely were looking at the contaminants, how it affects the environment, but it can only take so much until it cannot be restored back to the original state anymore, and that's when it becomes harmful for the creatures and the other aspects of the ecosystem, like the plants, the trees, and the extinction of various species, etc. And in regards to Le Chatelier principle, the increase of greenhouse gases causes the atmosphere's equilibrium to be imbalanced, because you know how greenhouse gases cause the equilibrium to shift in such a way that the temperature is not balanced anymore. We are seeing weird weather pattern, more extreme kind of weather, and these kind of things are only because of the pollution and the contaminants we have got all around us. So definitely there is a lot of Le Chatelier's principle involved if we try to compare it in that way.
So, what do you suggest we do to solve this problem?
Well, in order to solve the problem, first we need to be aware and very much concerned citizens for our city, because it's our city, it's our environment, it affects us directly. Now, the important role can be played by the media, they can raise awareness. On the other hand, there is the politicians, they can formulate new laws, policies to stop the use of these harmful chemicals in the environment. By doing this, we are able to prevent or at least reduce the use of some chemicals in our environment. In fact, actions are being taken by the Canadian industry who plans to destroy all the PCBs that are listed by 2025. This the estimated cost is about $25.23 million, which is quite high actually. But after all, it's for the betterment of the environment. What would we do without it?
Well, that is it for tonight. Thank you, Miriam, for coming on tonight. Any closing statements?
Yeah, it was really great to be a part of the show and to share our concerns with the fellow citizens who think like us, who think about the environment. And of course, the change can be done by you. We have to start it from each person. And there's only so much that the government can do, but when we are aware, we can make a positive change. And it was a beautiful evening, and thank you everyone for watching my show.
Back to you, Ron.
Great story. Compelling and rich. Well, that's going to do it for all of us here at Channel 4. I'm Ron Burgundy.